A reading from the Gospel of Matthew. While he was still speaking to the crowds, his mother and his brothers were standing outside, wanting to speak to him. Someone told him, "Look, your mother and brothers are standing outside, wanting to speak to you." But to the one who had told him this, Jesus replied, "Who is my mother? And who are my brothers?" And pointing to his disciples, he said, "Here are my mother and my brothers. For whoever does the will of my Father in heaven is my brother and sister and mother." When I was growing up and would hear this passage, I used to think that it was harsh in redefining who family is, because really clearly that is what it does. It redefines our understanding of who our family is. When my daughter was young, she was born into our family, the youngest and the only girl. And she had a cousin who had a brother and therefore was also the only girl. And so we used to tell them that they were sisters. And they embraced this wholeheartedly, right? They really believed that they were sisters. So much so that as they got older and people began to tell them that they weren't really sisters, they would cry because they really believed that they were sisters. Even though they didn't live in the same house, they never questioned that they didn't live in the same house. They just embraced the idea of being sisters because each of them wanted one. When I think about this gospel, today's gospel, I really start to think about the world that we live in today. The way that we sort of assign team life to ourselves, right? I'm team Republican. I'm team Democrat. I'm team independent. The way that we separate ourselves religiously, I'm Episcopalian, I'm Catholic, I'm Methodist, I'm Baptist. And we really identify very closely with the groups to whom we've identified ourselves as being a part. But when you think about what Jesus has said here, his words are chosen very carefully. He could have said, "Only the ones who follow me are my brother, sisters, and mother." He did not say that. He said, "Only the one who does the will of my Father," which is a much broader umbrella, right? You could find someone who does the will of the Father in a Christian faith, across any of the denominations of the Christian faith, outside of the Christian faith, outside of any faith, right? The one who does the will of my Father. Think about the person who is unchurched, but sort of lives their life in accord with God's will for the ways that we are to interact and engage in our world with one another, the ways that we conduct our lives, our businesses, those types of things. So Jesus gave us a broad spectrum that redefined who the family is. And now the family is not just limited to that small group of people in your particular favorite group, whether it be a religious group or a political group or any other type of group. But it's much broader because it includes each and every person who does the will of the Father. May you find your mother, brother, and sister in the people who surround you, and may you be the mother, brother, and sister to those who, like you, pursue the will of God. Amen.